Hey Falcons fans, something's brewing, and it's the kind of thing that makes you stop and think, are we really going to do this? One move, one big bet, could turn the entire season upside down. It's risky, it's bold, and if it happens, man, it's going to be a big deal. But before I tell you all the details, hit the like button and comment below. Which Falcons position urgently needs reinforcement? I want to hear your opinion. Imagine this. The Falcons front office is staring down a make-or-break season, and everything, absolutely everything, could hinge on one decision. Terry Fontenot knows it. His back is against the wall. Michael Penix Jr. has to work out. If the rookie quarterback doesn't deliver, Fontenot isn't just in trouble. He's gone. That's the pressure cooker we're in right now. And that's why rumors like these become more than just talk. Because when a GM feels the walls closing in, even just curiosity calls can turn into bold, franchise-shifting moves. So here's the scenario. And I want you to really picture this. Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Bijan Robinson, and scary Terry McLaurin. Now, don't roll your eyes and say, we don't need another receiver. On paper, you're right. The Falcons aren't desperate at the position. But this isn't about need. This is about going all in, putting every single possible weapon around Penix to ensure he thrives. Because for Fontenot, success in 2025 isn't optional, it's survival. Let's talk Terry McLaurin first. Washington's star wideout is entering the final year of his 3-year extension signed in 2022, and after another monster season, over 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, nearly 100 catches, he wants to get paid. He's approaching 30, and he knows his big paydays are running out. Washington should keep him. Trading him would be crazy. But hey, crazy things happen in the NFL, and organizations sometimes make questionable moves, especially ones still rebuilding their identity after years of bad ownership. Now, what does McLaurin bring? He's not Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill, but don't let that fool you. He's closer to that elite tier than people give him credit for. Put him on the field with London and Mooney, and suddenly you've got one of the most dangerous trios in the NFC. Factor in Bijan's explosiveness and Kyle Pitts, who is fighting for his own future in Atlanta, and you've got a legit nightmare for opposing defenses. Here's the catch, and it's a big one. The Falcons are low on draft capital. No first-round pick next year, no fifth-rounder either, and they only had 5 picks this past draft. That makes pulling off a blockbuster harder. But think about it. If you're Fontenot and you know you might not even be around for next year's draft if this season fails, do you care about draft capital? Or do you go for broke right now? That's the million-dollar question. And then there's Jauan Jennings. Now, before we dive in, yes, Georgia fans, take a deep breath. This is the same Jennings who ripped your heart out with that Hail Mary back in 2016 when he was at Tennessee. But let's be honest, Georgia football has been just fine since then, and we're talking about winning now. Jennings nearly became Super Bowl MVP for the 49ers. If San Francisco hadn't blown that game against the Chiefs, his name might already be etched in NFL history. Jennings' situation is about money too. He's on a bargain deal, around $7 million a year, but he wants an extension. The Niners might hesitate to give it after paying Brandon Ayuk and investing heavily in the receiver room. If they feel they can't afford Jennings long-term, they might listen to offers. But let's be clear, it would take a strong package to pry him away, and Atlanta might not be willing to pay that price. Still, think about the fit. Mooney stretches the field, London does it all, and Jennings thrives after the catch, breaking tackles and grinding out tough yards over the middle. Exactly the kind of safety blanket a young quarterback like Penix could use in year 2. And that's the tension, right? On one hand, Atlanta's receiver room is already solid. On the other, more weapons mean more chances for Penix to succeed. If Fontenot wakes up in a cold sweat at 3 a.m. thinking, if Penix fails, I'm done, does he pick up the phone? Tell me, Falcons fans, should Fontenot push all his chips to the center of the table for McLaurin or Jennings? Or should he ride with what he has and trust that London, Mooney, and Pitts can get the job done? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And here's where it gets really interesting, Falcons fans, because if you think this is just about adding another receiver, you're missing the bigger picture. This isn't simply about McLaurin or Jennings as players. This is about what their presence signals to the entire locker room, to the entire fan base, and most importantly, to Michael Penix Jr. Bringing in a proven veteran like Scary Terry or a gritty fighter like Jennings tells your young quarterback, we believe in you, and we're giving you every single weapon possible to make sure you succeed. That kind of confidence? It's contagious. It changes the energy of an entire building. Now imagine week 1. Penix drops back, and instead of forcing balls to London or Mooney because those are his only reliable options, he sees McLaurin breaking off press coverage or Jennings dragging defenders for extra yards after the catch. That's not just another completion, that's trust being built in real time. Every throw Penix makes to a receiver who consistently wins his matchup boosts his confidence, and confident quarterbacks play faster, make better reads, and aren't afraid to take shots downfield. And let's talk about the psychological warfare here. Defenses game plan differently when they have to respect 3 legitimate receiving threats plus a tight end like Kyle Pitts, who's fighting for his own breakout year, and Bijan Robinson in the backfield. With McLaurin, defenses can't double London as much. With Jennings, you're getting a physical, yards-after-contact monster who turns 5-yard gains into 15. That keeps chains moving, keeps Penix out of third-and-long situations, and forces opposing defensive coordinators into uncomfortable decisions all game long. But this isn't just a fantasy football dream. There are real obstacles. Terry Fontenot has to weigh the cost, draft capital, future cap flexibility, and the potential long-term ripple effects. Trading for McLaurin, for example, likely means handing him a big contract extension immediately. Do you invest heavily in a 29-year-old receiver who might only have 4 elite years left? Or do you trust your current young core to grow together? Same with Jennings. While cheaper, his value is rising, and San Francisco isn't just going to give him away. Yet here's the cold, hard truth Falcons fans need to face. The future might not matter for Fontenot if 2025 goes south. No GM in survival mode is thinking about 3 years from now. He's thinking about winning now. Every loss, every stalled drive, every missed opportunity this season inches him closer to Black Monday. And if he feels like a single additional weapon could tilt 2 or 3 games in his favor, is that risk worth it? For him personally, absolutely. And let's not forget the stakes for Penix. His entire narrative could be shaped by what Fontenot decides this offseason. If Penix has weapons, protection, and a play caller tailoring the offense to his strengths, he has no excuses, and if he thrives, Atlanta finally stabilizes at quarterback for the first time since Matt Ryan. But if Fontenot plays it safe and the offense struggles, Penix takes the heat, Fontenot takes the fall, and we're staring down yet another rebuild discussion by next offseason. Now, put yourself in Terry Fontenot's shoes for a second. You wake up at 3 a.m., sweating, thinking about what happens if Penix busts. Do you roll the dice and pray that London, Mooney, and Pitts stay healthy and take the next step? Or do you make the phone call that could change everything, knowing full well it could also blow up in your face if Penix still doesn't deliver? That's the drama playing out behind the scenes right now, and whether or not you're in favor of a trade, you have to admit, it's the kind of bold, franchise-defining decision that keeps GMs awake at night. So, Falcons fans, I'm asking you again, if you were Fontenot, what would you do? Would you risk the future for one big swing that might save your season and your job? Or do you stand pat and trust the roster you've built? Leave your answer in the comments, because this might be the biggest what-if of the entire offseason, and I want to know exactly what you think. And if you're still with me this far, like and subscribe to the channel to stay informed. Go Falcons!